So today's little project is front mudguard for the GSXR 1000. So first things first, this is the thinnest stuff I've got, which is 1.2mm steel. I'm going to cut a section off and then batter shit out of it with a hammer and hopefully make a mudguard. Trying to remember how I did the one on the 600. That was pretty much the same, batter shit out of it, put it on the English wheel. But yeah, first things first, cut a section off. Obviously that's massively oversized. You're probably only talking that, probably thinner than that, wouldn't it? Be thinner than that, somewhere there. But yeah, you got to allow for bendage because you're stretching the metal to get the shape. But yeah, that's today. Let's get started. Right, that's that cut. Obviously, I meant to do this bit because obviously it goes around the forks. Obviously. I mean, what? You think I made a mistake? Me? Mistake? No. Maybe. It's chopped, isn't it? Right, I'm gonna see if I can get some shape going with the English wheel first. So as you can see, we've pretty much one pass on both ends because obviously I can't do a whole run right the way through. It's already getting quite a nice curve on it. The trouble you have, let me rephrase that, the trouble I have is getting the curvature that way, which is usually where the hammer and that comes in, or that's what I used last time on the mudguard for the 600. But with one pass, as I say, that's quite a decent start to a curve. A bit uneven in places. So as I say, you can see getting quite a curve there, quite a decent curve, but it's not going the other way. So I think we're onto hammering now. The idea being that you hammer the section that you want, which means you're hitting it, which is stretching it, which forms your curve. This is all theory. I've only ever done it once, and I think I accidentally did it last time. Just happened with, I'd used a big enough sheet that I could cut out that I could cut out a mudguard from it. So hopefully let's smash shit out of this and see what we get. Right, so that's pummeled for about halfway, and you can start to see the hump where you're stretching the metal through the middle. The sides want to fall in, so there's no hardship in opening that back up. But yeah, you can see it's just starting to develop. So a lot more whacking. Obviously it doesn't help that this is 1.2mm thick and it's quite a big sheet, so probably should have started out with a sledgehammer, but then if you use steel on steel you run the risk of splitting the metal, so bossing mallet it is. So I'll carry on. Right, so as you can see, you got all the hammer marks in that now. I've started to go over this side and it'll take all the lumps and bumps out. I've got quite a straight roller on the bottom there now rather than the curve, because I just want to take the humps out. I don't want to curve it anymore, especially sideways. Lengthways it could do with a bit more, but I'll see how it turns out after I've rolled it. I'll cut a stencil of the tyre and measure it up and see how we're doing. Right, so I've trimmed the edge off. Now I know roughly where I'm going. This is still far too big, but there you go. That's a hell of a lot of hammering. And there's definitely easier ways of doing it, but that's how I did it. So I've hammered shit out of that and it's not far off now. So it's just the ends want to come down. Where are we going? So the middle there's good. The ends want to come down. The ends need trimming off anyway. But yeah, it's nearly there. And then that's the inner diameter. As I say, the centre's pretty much there, but the two edges want doing. Bring it in a bit more, but it'll be trimmed off about there and about there, so it's only that hump that I need. But yes, hell of a lot of effort. Hell of a lot of effort. But it's one of those I did it myself moments, which makes it doesn't feel like it at the moment, but it will feel like it. Makes it feel like it's all worthwhile. Oh dear. Anyway, I'm gonna get a drink and then more hammering. Right, somewhere near. Back to the English wheeling. As you can see, it's very close to where I want to be. It will only be this sort of centre section that will be used, but just to show you the difference, this is English wheeled. You can see it's still got the English wheel lines in it, but I can go over that again and spread them out a bit. And this is how it was when it's hammered. Still the hammer marks there, and as you go across it with the English wheel, so it smooths it out. So got that section to do, and then have another measure up with the stencils and all the rest of it. Perhaps cut it down a bit more, get a bit closer to the size and shape that I want. Try it on the bike and go from there. But first, a bit more English wheeling. So, somewhere near, you can start to see it's from about here to about here is the actual mudguard, which is very close to being where I need it to be. As I say, I'll probably trim this off, get it down to a size that is more like what's going to end up on the bike, and then it'll probably be a good size that I can get it on the bike and eyeball it from there. But as I say, that's very close. Very close. It's this bit here that wants a bit more. I'll go through the English wheel some more and see if I can get more of a curve whilst flattening it out. And as I say, probably trim it up and try it from there. So we're somewhere close now. It's the section I want, which will be from about here down to about here. You can see where the arch is, the bulge is, where the metal's been stretched. It's very close to what I want it to be. So what I'll do is I'll keep going with the English wheel side to side, and then what that should do is, as it smooths this out, it should spread the metal sideways, which should give it, hopefully, as it goes crossways, through the English wheel, it'll spread the metal, and in so doing give me more of an arch. So I'll tighten the wheels up, clamp it a bit tighter and go through it and see where I get with that. Failing that, it'll be another bit of hammering. But yeah, very close, getting there. So absolutely knackered, loads of hammering, but ignore the edges, but we're pretty much spot on the internal and pretty good on the external. There's a bit of a calamity in the middle there, but I've just had another hammering session. I think I'll go through the middle there, then it'll be back on the English wheel. Let's try that. Yeah, that's pretty good. As I say, English wheel next. Oh, take them off. Bit of English wheel next to take out the ripples, which you can hear. Take them out, and then I need to do a stencil. Stencil of the profile to get that somewhere near. That's probably quite good where it is. As I say, I'll see how it comes out after I've English wheeled it for possibly the last time. Just don't know. I just don't know. And then it will just be the profile, and then cut off all the edges that I don't need, and then you'll be able to see it a bit better. But that is the time, about 4 o'clock, half 4. It's got to be 2.5 hours, perhaps 3 hours work of continuously hammering and doing the English wheel. And I've only got 1, 2 blisters coming up, maybe 3, and a couple of scratches. Flesh wound, carry on regardless, soldier. There you go, there's quite a good first stage. Now it just wants a good tidy up and a bit of trimming. As I say, don't worry about all this skirt here. That's overlap. It'll be cut probably about there to start with, just at the top of all this crap, round the back, and again above all this gnarled bit around the front. And that'll give me that centre section there, which is that nice dome. I've just measured the tyre. It wants to be, well, between the forks, wants to be about 6.5 inches, so it doesn't matter if it's about 7, because I can always scallop. Can I? I don't know if I can. It's not like I'm a professional. Yeah, I should be able to scallop out, or just knock in an area to go round the forks. But that is quite nice. I know it looks disgusting on camera, and yes, I should have got rid of all the rust off of it and everything, so it doesn't contaminate my wheels. But having said all that, that's a hell of a lot of work there, with all the hammering and everything that went on. But I think overall that's going to end up quite a nice mudguard, if I don't ruin it when I cut it. Which is always the threat, you know. I mean, I'll bring it down too low to start with, and see what I end up with. Try a test fit on the bike and see what needs doing to it, and how it's going to end up, because there's more curvature coming down this way, wraps in quite tight, whereas this is quite far out still. Far out, dude. No, dude, far out, dude. But again, that can be brought in, whether that's on the wheel or hammering, or a combination of hammering and the wheel. But initially I need to cut out the shape and decide just what sort of portion of that I'm going to keep, whether it's actually going to be that long as well. It might just be a little stubby one just between the forks, but I don't like, I know I've got the protectors on it, I've got the screens on the both radiators, the oil and the water radiators, which obviously helps a great deal, especially with the bigger debris coming up, he says. Look at that stone right behind the, let's get that out. But yeah, so I don't know whether it will be full length or whether it will just be a stubby bit in the middle. But ultimately I think I want to come back down a little bit more to protect the radiator. Oil coolers you can pick up quite cheap. Which shouldn't be your premise for how long your mudguard is, but radiators are really expensive, especially OEM ones. So yes, possibly down to about here and then out up to here. But again, you know, it's my build. I'll decide as I go, which is usually the worst course of action. But yes, get in there. That's the section I'm going to cut out to start with and jam it in between the forks, see how it looks, see where it wants to be, and then go from there. Right, so that's what's left. Really does look a bit more like a mudguard. Let's just throw it on and see. Throw it on and see if we can get any sort of shape to it. That's where it's at. Probably a bit further back than that. Okay, so it's not a bad fit. I think it's going to be more like about there, I think. Turn the light out of the way. Something like that, and possibly take off this bottom edge. Okay, so I think I've made some decisions. I'm not sure. I think I used to be indecisive. I'm not sure now. going to be about that long. So this bottom section is going to get cut off, and it is just going to be that short. Need to mark out this front so I get a better front curve. So in actual fact it'll come out to about here, and again just past the cables before it starts curving round and cut off at the back, so it'll end up about that long on its longest point at the top and come round here with probably a couple of lines of that going up and over. Maybe, I don't know whether I'll be able to shape it over there enough, but then I could heat it, bend it over, tack weld it, and see how I go with that. But I think I'm getting somewhere. There's so much more to it than you ever think, and not being a natural fabricator, I can fabricate the truth all right, but and I want this to look a lot better than the last one I made for the 600, which in all fairness the mudguard itself looked brilliant. It was the silly shields I put on to protect the forks that look crap. And that's why these look even better. They look a lot better. Shit. Yeah, so probably a couple of lines of steel coming up and over to hold it on, and the same again at the back. But I don't know whether to come straight up with the line of the forks or straight up on a 90 degree to the floor. That'll be determined once I've actually cut and put that on. Anyway, let's cut this down and see what we end up with. So, there's my tiny little mudguard. See how different that looks. Oh, yeah. That looks a bit neat, doesn't it? Okay. So it'll be there. I've just got to trim a bit more off this end so it follows the line of the tyre a bit better. I'm about here through, but that's the length of it. Nice height off the tyre, ready for new tyres. There you go. Now I've just got to think about to put a bracket on there. Yeah. There you go, it started out massive.